So really, when someone comes in, I just have a wee chat and ask them what's brought them here, you know, how snoring's affecting them really, and then it's just a case of running through. They'll usually tell me that they've been told that they snore and they're here because it doesn't affect them, but it affects their other half. Or generally, if it's ladies, they kind of tend to be a bit more proactive and will come in because they know they snore and want to do something about it, like for health-wise, that sort of thing. So that's sort of the main thing that brings people in, but then it's really just a matter of finding out what I can do for them, really. So it's then just chatting about what I do. Most people sort of have an idea because they've had a look at the website and had a wee look through and know pretty much what they're getting into, but yeah, just want to have a look at it and just have a chat to me and see if it's going to be a fit for them. So really the main questions, comfort is the biggest one that people ask about. So usually it's like, well, you know, how comfortable is, because I sort of pick it up and show it to them, and then they're like, oh, okay. But it's one of those things that actually looks worse than what it feels. And obviously that is not going to look the same for everybody because it's custom fitted. Because it's custom fitted, everyone's going to look different. So don't be put off by the thought of looking at that and thinking, how does that fit in my mouth? How does that fit in my mouth? Exactly, because of course it's not going to look like that. Yours is going to look totally different. So it's really just pretty much a couple of nights to a week is the usual sort of time frame to get comfortable with it. The main thing will be perhaps a bit of aching in your jaw, because you're bringing your jaw forward and you're not used to bringing it forward, but your jaw's on a hinge, it can move 10 to 12 millimetres. It's just a matter of dropping it back, and for adjustments I'm talking a millimetre at a time, so very small increments. So initially there might be a bit of tweaking, a little bit of toing and froing, but we'll work out pretty quickly at what point it needs to, you know, where we're at, where to take it to, exactly. So it's a case of you letting me know how you're getting on and I can adjust it accordingly. Well, with the appointments, initial appointment allow about 20 minutes to half an hour. That gives us time to have a chat about it, answer any questions, and if you're happy at that stage, we can then also take the impressions of the teeth at that point. Then from that point, it's roughly a week. Give me a week to make it up. And then pop back, it's just sort of 10 minutes or so just to try it in, make sure it feels comfortable. And then you'll know straight away, the night you wear it in the morning, you'll get some feedback as to how you've gone, whether that's from a partner or whether you've downloaded an app on your phone, a snoring app. You'll know how you've gone. So really it'll just be a matter of the comfort thing. Some people will wear it all night long the first night, it doesn't bother them. And other people it might take them 2 weeks to get to that point. So it's really once you're at that point, then we can start making adjustments. So once you drop it off, you need to allow sort of a couple of days for me to make the adjustment. And then we go it again and then try it. And then if you need to come back, I mean, I probably have to adjust maybe 60%, you know, either one or two adjustments. But it's not so common to do more than sort of perhaps 2 or 3 at max. Price of Snorex, you're looking at $690. That includes GST and all consultations. So I do give a money back guarantee with it. So if I don't stop you from snoring, there is that refund there. The only portion I don't refund is $200 of that cost, and that's the cost of taking the impressions and making the moulds. So those moulds are yours to keep. The Snorex itself is $490, and that's fully refundable. And I give people 3 months because that gives us plenty of time for you to try and adjust it, and we can work out in that time frame whether it's, you know, working or not. Have about a 98% success rate. There is the odd person, it doesn't matter how far forward I bring the jaw, still able to snore. So if that's the case, then there's that refund. Yep, some people come in on their own. Working from home, it makes it really flexible, and a lot of people, you know, don't like to take time off from work, so they're able to come and see me perhaps in their lunch hour, or after work, or weekends. As I say, I'm flexible evenings. So Depending on what suits them, really, I try and work an appointment time around that. Some people come on their own, some people like to bring their other half just so that they've got, the proper feedback, because they can't hear themselves, so they don't know what they're doing. So it's good sometimes to have that partner just to fill in the gaps when I'm asking the questions. So typically, you're waking up refreshed, or you wake tired, you wake with a headache, or especially like the questions around whether you stop breathing in your sleep, because you don't know that yourself. So it's not until somebody tells you, hey, you're just silence. You get the snoring and then it's the silence, and then they don't know what's worse, the silence or the snore. You're waiting for the breath, and then you give them a nudge and away they go again. So, either or. People typically, there's no kind of, you don't have to do one or the other. If that's the case, then they can just go along. If they're not coming into Christchurch for any other reason, they don't need to make a special trip to see me. So they can just go along to their dentist, ask their dentist to take impressions and make up moulds of their teeth. Then they can just send me those moulds and I can make up the Snorex from there and just courier the Snorex back. And usually, after a couple of times, it's not like an ongoing forever, process of sending their Snorex backwards and forwards. It's once we get it sorted, then we're good to go. And then it is something you're going to get several years out of, so it's not like you've got to replace it every year. So pretty much around 5 to 7 years is the average sort of lifespan. It may look like your everyday mouthguard plastic, but it's actually a German plastic we use, and that retains its shape. It keeps its memory over a longer period of time, so you get the better wear out of it. I really fell into this by accident, really. I wasn't looking to to do this. A friend of mine had actually purchased, this is a franchise, he'd actually purchased, and he decided he was heading back to Auckland and asked me if it was something that I wanted to do. And I was at home with a couple of young children and thought it would be something ideal. I could work from home, and I'm still doing that 28 years later. And regarding Dave, I made him a Snorex. We knew each other socially, and he told me he was going off to have his surgery, so he had all his nose cleared out and the soft palate and the uvula all removed. And I said to him, I'll see you after your surgery. And he was like, no, this is going to fix it. And at the time, I'm going back probably 18 years. He paid around $5,000-6,000 at that point. And then it was probably about a month after that, he gave me a ring and said, I'm still snoring, can you make me a Snorex? So I did, but apparently the surgery was pretty painful. And once he'd recovered from that, he came and got his Snorex and has been wearing one ever since.
And now he's your husband as well?
Now he's my husband, and thinks I should give him a refund for his first Snorex that I made.
But out of interest, how long did Dave's Snorex last him?
Let me see. He's on to his third Snorex now in 18 years. So pretty
years,
good.
Yes.
Around the 7 years, it's pretty good. Because quite often people come in and say, I sleep great, doesn't affect me. I'm only here because I've been, the other half can't sleep. But people don't realise that when they're snoring, they don't actually get down to the deep quality sleep that you need. So just because you're asleep for 8 hours, if you're snoring, you actually stay at a slightly higher level of awakeness and don't get that deep sleep. So like snoring itself, it can be the annoying noise and, you're not getting the sleep and you can be tired out. But then as that progresses and then you move into the sleep apnea stage where you actually stop breathing in your sleep, that's when it becomes a serious health issue where it can lead to high blood pressure and strokes. So that's definitely it's a progressive thing. So if you don't kind of stop it early, or address it early enough, then it proceeds on, and that's what you're left with, more health risk. Oh, I tell you what, it can be overnight. I got a lovely text from a lady. She picked her Snorex up and she texted me the next day. She said she'd had a great night's sleep, and she said her partner was just over the moon. He'd had his best sleep. They've been together for 6 months, and it's the best sleep he'd had for 6 months. And so she said they were both super happy. And I had another lady who just dropped hers off for a slight adjustment, and she said straight away, even though she's a lot quieter, she woke up in the morning feeling a lot better, and also found that during the next day she didn't have that normal kind of about mid-afternoon. She said she'd flag and feel like she needed to grab some coffee or some sugar, just that, that hit. The bit of pick me up, and she said she didn't feel that through the day, and that was only wearing it. She'd only had it for a couple of nights. Because snoring is one of those weird things, everybody says, oh yeah, I've tried everything and nothing works. And when you tell them that you can stop them from snoring, they're very skeptical. So it's kind of like, I know it works. I wear one myself because I was told that I snore. Once again, I didn't know I snored. But the interesting thing was, though, even though I talk people through the benefits and how they can feel with wearing a Snorex, and I'd been saying it, it's one thing saying it, it's another thing living it and experiencing it. Because I found I often used to wake up with a headache or a dull feeling in the head, but once I got up and moving, it kind of cleared. And once I was wearing my Snorex, I wake up in the morning and I don't have that. I wake up feeling refreshed and I don't have that foggy kind of start to the day, which is really interesting, because even though I tell people, they'll wake up feeling better, it is actually something you do, wake up feeling better. Yeah. So I guess it's just almost like a light bulb moment for some people, because once again, they kind of come in with low expectations, thinking, well, here we go, we'll give it a go, there's a money back guarantee, we'll just see. And then they're quite surprised and actually delighted that it is as advertised. They do stop snoring, their partners are happy, they get a better night's sleep, even if they thought they were getting a good night's sleep. That's often a surprise for people.